My name's Laura Stacey from Kleinburg, Ontario. I'm a two-time Olympian and Olympic gold medalist from 2022 Beijing Winter Olympics, and I'm coming on the I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
Looking for the most beers on tap? Great steaks, great staff? Head over to the John B. Pub.
We got the best beers, steaks, chicken wings, nachos in town. Come see us at the John B. Pub.
The John B. Pub, the best bar in town. Come sign up for our football pool. Say Hayes sent you.
The #1 sports podcast in Vancouver with Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
Ryan Hayes and Big Mike. I Only Touch Greatness podcast.
Are taking over the podcast scene in Vancouver. Get down or lay down. Lay down. Lay down.
So easy, but it is done and dusted. Canada are golden in Beijing. Vidasuo. Pass in front, shot, scores. They're coming fast and furious now. As Stacey bangs it home.
I don't know if you can call them third and fourth lines. The way everyone is playing, it's just a group of... Overside, take the shot and scores! Laura Stacey with the overtime winner for Marco. And really, these things create the entries, that quick transition. And Laura Stacey could have shot that. Gain possession and just that pass to the middle of the ice and they get a block shot, but being able to retrieve your puck. And that's what Canada's been doing all game long. And
Stacey and Bourbonnais shorthanded. Stacey scores! Shorthanded tally, Laura Stacey.
If anyone knows a good prospect, it's Vancouver's Ryan Hayes and Big Mike.
So if my stats are correct here, born in Kleinburg, Ontario. Can you tell us a little about your hockey story, kind of like where you started, when you started, and where you've ended up now?
Yeah, so I grew up in Kleinburg, that's right. My parents put me into like a learn to skate figure skating program at 3 or 4. I hated it. I sat on the ice and cried because I didn't want to wear the pick skates and the fancy outfits, especially when I saw the little boys going to play hockey at the rink beside. So I was pretty jealous of that they got to play hockey and I was kind of in this learn to skate program with figure skates on my feet. So I cried a lot. I complained about it. I kept asking my parents, like, why can't I play with the boys and go play hockey? And they kept saying, like, Laura, you need to learn how to skate before you can play hockey. And they were right. I for sure did need to learn how to skate, but somehow I convinced them. They let me go to play hockey, at least just try it out. And I loved it. I fell in love with the game. And again, they were right. I did need to learn how to skate because I was absolutely terrible when I first started playing. But I wanted to be out there. I wanted to learn how to skate because I actually enjoyed showing up to practice, playing with the boys, and having fun. So I played most of my, youth hockey, playing boys hockey in the GTHL in Vaughan. Kind of grew up that route. And then once they started growing, getting a little bit bigger, quicker, I broke a couple bones, and that was the transition to girls hockey. So I would say that was about in grade 8 or 9. I transferred over to girls, played for the Willowdale Red Wings and Tobago Dolphins, a couple of teams on the girls' side. And that's when, once I started transferring over, that's kind of when Team Ontario, the U18 national team, and a bunch of colleges kind of started knocking on my door. And so I think that's probably the time when it got a little bit more serious, and it wasn't just necessarily about like fun on the weekend. It was, whoa, this is something that maybe I can actually do and kind of chase that goal or that dream that I had as a little kid, seeing maybe the national team is an option. So then I played girls hockey. I got accepted into Dartmouth, chose to go to Dartmouth. So that was a pretty big decision for me. All along that time I was on the under 18 team. Then I went to Dartmouth, got to play the college there, which was incredible. It was an amazing 4 years for sure. I was on the under 22 throughout that college experience, kind of trying out for the senior team every year, but wasn't quite making that cut, kept getting cut. And then from there, I broke my wrists, actually, both wrists, the very last game of college hockey for me. Both wrists went sliding into the boards. It was an absolute disaster.
Crazy.
But that was kind of the turning point, I would say, in my career. I hadn't quite made that senior team yet. I still was dreaming, obviously, about maybe one day going to the Olympics. But then that was it. My college career was now done. we didn't really have anything too professional. The CWHL existed, but it wasn't that big of a deal then. And now I had 2 broken wrists. So it was kind of my turning point of whether I was going to keep giving it all I had or kind of pack it in. And luckily I was surrounded by some pretty great people who didn't really let me stop. And not even 11 months after I got hurt, I made the senior team for the first time. So that was kind of I would definitely say a big point in my career. And then ever since then, I've been chasing that dream of finally wearing a gold medal around my neck.
And you finally made it happen. That's pretty good, though.
Finally made it happen, hey?
That's pretty good that you fought through that, though, too, because a lot of people would have just gave up at that point in their careers, right? They would have just said, hey, I've already been bad injury. I haven't made the team yet. And, you fought through adversity. That's awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, it was definitely that moment of, like, why am I doing this? Is it going to work or is it not? And I think, my training staff, my coaches and my friends at Dartmouth, even my family, they had to obviously do a lot for me when I had no 2 wrists that weren't really functioning. So they kind of just like put it into perspective and said, Laura, do you really want to end your career on this moment? Do you want to just pack it in because you got hurt? And I was like, to be honest, no, I don't think it's done. I don't think it's over. And like I said, I was very lucky to be surrounded by people who wanted me to kind of chase that dream and wanted me to keep going. So that made it a lot easier. But you're right. It definitely was a big decision to kind of, it was like, this is my last kick at it. I'm either going to fully rehab, come back and try and be stronger and better than ever, or that's really it. And I think, to be honest, it wasn't even necessarily the training or the comeback part of the injury. It was more just changing what I was doing. And I think the injury finally made me do something different. And a lot of people say that it wasn't necessarily, it was just that I kept doing the same thing over and over again and not getting any different results. And when that injury happened, it forced me to change. It forced me to train differently. It forced me to look at the game in a different way. And I think it obviously changed me for the better.
How did you manage to live with 2 broken wrists? I know I broke mine at the same time too. I broke my wrist playing hockey last year, and then that's because I was skating with one hand on my stick, and I turned and I put my hand up and it caught the hand and it snapped my wrist down. How would you manage? I couldn't do anything with them. I had to learn how to do everything with my left hand.
Yeah, it was not ideal. Let's say that. I couldn't eat, I couldn't change, I couldn't shower. I actually had to stay at like the infirmary at Dartmouth because I couldn't shower or change myself for about 2 to 3 weeks. Once the swelling went down a little, I could use my fingers a little bit better, so I could start like pulling things. But at first, both my hands, because they were so badly broken, like I was in a full arm cast on the left all the way up because it needed to set. And then this one, I just had like kind of that regular wrist cast. So I could do a lot more with my right. But to be honest, it was not easy to function. Like my mom and dad stayed like a week, the first week when everything was happening and I was in a ton of pain. They were there to definitely make some meals, help me change. But to be honest, they had to do more things than I really wanted them to do. But I needed all the help I can get. And my friends were changing me. They chose my outfits. So not sure how I looked senior spring, but we got through it.
Yeah. And did you excel at any other sports growing up?
I played soccer actually a really long time, probably also until high school, when it kind of just became a little bit too much to manage the 2 of them, but definitely a really big believer in playing all different sports. Soccer was my big other one, but I played all the sports growing up, whether it was basketball, volleyball, track and field. I love them all. It was just the one when I played like outside of elementary and high school, it was mainly hockey and soccer. Those were my 2 big sports for sure.
Mike, I'm going to shoot one more.
Yeah, go ahead.
What made you choose Dartmouth? Because like we asked their football, when we interview our football guys, we always say this is your one chance to get to choose where you're going as opposed to being drafted to a team. Yeah. So what really made you choose that, and what did you major in? Yeah, that's a tough question. There's, especially as a Canadian, all these American schools start sending you letters of interest and different packages on the mail, and you hear about schools. Obviously, some of your friends who had graduated before you have already gone to play college hockey, so you have an idea of where some people have went, or what some schools look like. But to be honest, there's so many schools, and you have to make a decision pretty quickly. So I went on a lot of trips, to be honest, with my family, with my parents. We drove and went on a ton of unofficial visits. So I started to narrow it down through that and just kind of what felt good, what I liked, what team.
And then I actually went on all 5 of my officials. So I stayed for 24 to 48 hours at 5 different schools. And they were all incredible for their own reasons. But I think at the end of the day, when I went to Dartmouth, I mean, I know it's cliche, but like, I honestly felt like it was the place for me. I felt like home. A big part of that, I love the team. And when I went to Dartmouth, I stayed for 2 nights. And throughout the whole 48 hours, like I was with a different girl on the team all the time. Like they just kept passing me around because they all wanted to meet me and have lunch with me. Somebody wanted to have dinner. So it was just like, I felt like the whole team was a part of it. Whereas in some places I only spent time with the girls I knew there or my teammates or friends who had already been there. And I kind of wanted to, I don't know, I just felt that was really special. And not in many places did I get to meet almost 80% of the team, or did they want to meet me? So I thought that was a really huge part of it. Obviously, my parents kind of gave me the opportunity and said, hey, Laura, if you get into an Ivy League school, we would be completely willing to support you on that quest, on that mission. And so that was really big. Once they told me that, I think that I was like, well, how could I turn down an opportunity if I could get into an Ivy League school to not pursue that? So that kind of also had a huge impact on it. But to be honest, there was a number of really, really great programs in schools that I was looking at, and it was tough. But at the end of the day, I just went with my gut, what I felt was right. And I'm definitely happy that I spent 4 years at Dartmouth. I majored in economics while I was there.
Okay. Well, you definitely made the right decision.
Yeah.
Your career's still going. So
yeah, it's still going.
Any nicknames, and what is your favorite jersey number and why? I know sometimes you might not get your first choice when you make an Olympic team, obviously. So what is your favorite jersey number and what's your nickname?
My nickname is definitely Stace. Not very many people call me Laura at all. I'm the girl with 2 first names, so I get that a lot. But generally, it's definitely Stace or Stacy. My favorite number is 7. It's always been 7. I've worn it since I was a little kid. My great-grandpa, actually, it's a pretty big number in our family. My great-grandpa wore it. He played for the Leafs, and I'm obviously a really big Leafs fan. So that's a pretty big part of that decision. I think there was a time in my career where I was like, oh, I'm going to be different than all my family and wear a different number, but it didn't last too long, and I came back to it pretty quick.
Yeah, that led to my next question actually perfectly. I was going to ask you a little bit. Obviously, you didn't get to meet your great-grandfather, King Clancy, but I'm sure you've heard a million family stories. Can you give us 1 or 2?
Yeah, I didn't get to meet him. I wish I did. I have heard some pretty great stories. I think, like, I don't know. I don't know. To be honest, I just know a lot about the same stories that you guys all know because even my mom and dad didn't technically get to spend a crazy amount of time with him because he was on the road so much. And they didn't spend, my mom obviously spent way more time with him than my dad, but I don't know. I think the main stories are the ones that I stand on is just the way he interacted with the fans and the people of Toronto. My grandma would tell me that he would always be the last one in the rink. They would be waiting for him and he would take forever to leave. And he would just literally go around shaking the hands and thanking the janitors, the equipment managers, ice cleaners, and if he had any extra cash in his hand, would give it out to those people who didn't necessarily make near as much money but put in the same amount of time. So those are kind of the stories that really stick with me, and it's more so just because of the way he handled himself and the person he was off the ice, not necessarily on the ice. Obviously there's some pretty great stories of his stats and how he coached and reffed and played in the NHL, and those are all pretty cool, and I hear those a lot, but just the person he was through the success and through his NHL career and getting traded from Ottawa to the Leafs. Those are just the kind of the little stories that we hear as a family that are important to me, I would say.
Out of curiosity, oh, go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, the NHL award's still named after him, right?
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
For leadership.
And out of curiosity, sorry, go ahead.
It's just for like leadership and also giving back to the community, I think is one of the main reasons they still give out that award today.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, did you get something from him? Like, did you keep one of his jerseys or one of his sticks or anything like that? Yeah. Yeah,
we have a ton of pretty cool memorabilia. My family had season tickets to the Garden, so they actually gave when they moved rinks. They gave my uncle, it's in my uncle's house, the actual seat,
cool.
like the chair and seat that was in the Garden. So that was a pretty cool piece. In terms of pictures, he has a little piece of a gold chain that he gave to all of his daughters when they won the cup, and it's like this gold little hockey puck necklace. And actually, when my grandmother, who recently just passed away, who was his daughter, there was obviously, she only had one puck, but our family made replicas for all of the female grandchildren. So we all have our own little puck that's like a replica of what he made for his daughter when he won the Stanley Cup. So that's something that I have and I wear. But in terms of, we have so many photos, pretty cool ones of him playing, just tons of memorabilia, I would say, especially between my uncle and my mom. But
that's so cool.
Just cool legacies
so cool.
and pictures of tickets and all that kind of stuff that you would see.
That's
so other than maybe like the family stuff and your Olympic medals, do you have a favorite piece of sports memorabilia that you've ever collected?
Ooh, that's actually a good question. I don't think I do. I have plenty of old hockey cards of, actually, I guess, I forget what Olympics it was, but one of the gas stations was making the pins of each of the Olympic, I'm pretty sure it was only men's hockey players at the time. And I made sure that I collected every single one of them on the team. So I think that was like something that stood out to me. I don't know why. I think I just, at that time, I loved the Olympics, and it was pretty cool to be able to get their individual pins. But to be honest, I don't have very much memorabilia or hockey stuff other than family and I guess my own now.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And so growing up, and kind of who did you mirror your game after or try and play like?
That's a great question, and I think it's tough to answer because I wish I could say like a female hockey player, but back in the day when I was a really young kid, other than watching them every 4 years at the Olympics, and that was my first time seeing women's hockey. I think it was 2002 when I was about 6, I would say. So that stood out to me, and Cassie Campbell's always been a really big role model of mine, just somebody I've looked up to, just obviously as how great of a hockey player she was, but the leader she was on that team, what she does off ice for women's hockey and female sports today. So she's obviously somebody I looked up to, but when I was a kid, I didn't get to necessarily see her play on the ice that much. So I was always watching the Leafs, and I was a big Gary Roberts fan.
Oh, nice.
I just loved the way he grinded and played, but also had a lot of skill and at the same time, and seemed like a good guy. I don't think I actually ever met him, but I was somebody, he wore number 7. I was a big Gary Roberts fan when I was really young, but like I said, I wish I did have the opportunity to watch Cassie and watch those women play more, because I think it would have been nice to have the opportunity to watch them and look up to them and try and model my play after a female versus always looking to the NHL and the Leafs. Just because that was so much more available to me.
Yeah, he was a great player.
Yeah.
Do you have any hidden
talents? Fun to watch.
So, do you have any hidden talents?
Ooh, no, not really. I'm not very artsy. I can't sing. I can't dance. I can't draw. So I wouldn't say I have too many hidden talents. I like to play golf. I also, I'm a big pet lover. I love dogs. So I think those are my two kind of more hidden side of things, but I definitely don't have any hidden cool talents.
Yeah, right on cue. My dog's over there chewing on his ball, making noise. So.
Cute. What type of dog?
I got a Frenchie named Tupac.
Cute, Tupac. What color Frenchie?
White one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little story about 2018 in Korea, and obviously 2022 bringing home the gold in Beijing? Can you give us a little Olympic story?
Yeah, 2018, I mean, it's tough. It's when you come home with a silver medal and you've trained specifically 4 years for that exact games. But for me, that was my first Olympics. So it did feel like that was training for a lifetime to get there and to have an opportunity to win. So obviously we came back pretty disappointed. It was sad. I think when you lose in a shootout, it's one shot. It's not necessarily... It was frustrating, and it was pretty crushing, but the experience was incredible. I think when you come back with that silver medal at first, like I said, you're sad or upset, but you bring it to a bunch of schools, you show your family, you bring it to a bunch of kids, and they're putting that on their neck and are so proud of you, and don't necessarily just automatically think, it should have been gold. And I think that puts it into perspective a lot for you when you are struggling or when you are upset about the outcome. I think it makes you realize how much more there is to that silver medal than just the color of it or that one shot. in the shootout that caused you to get the silver rather than the gold. So I think obviously that is a big part of that journey. But I do think being my first Olympics, walking into the opening ceremonies, being a part of a Team Canada versus just our little hockey Team Canada, it makes it so much bigger than itself. And it's a pretty surreal feeling. It's hard to talk about, being like, considering finally being Olympian, finally kind of achieving that lifelong dream. It still gives me goosebumps. And now be able to say I'm a 2-time Olympian and an Olympic gold medalist, it still doesn't feel real, to be honest. But Pyeongchang was incredible. Having my family there to enjoy that experience too, and to be along for the ride was definitely something I'm never going to forget. And then getting the opportunity to get another chance and get kind of a redemption and get back out there and have an opportunity to bring home a gold. I think it's special. And the team we had in Beijing was something I've never seen before. It was so dominant. And the group of girls is probably the closest team I've ever been on, which is pretty cool. And ultimately it worked out pretty well for us. We came home golden, and the experience was, even though it was COVID and we had to get tested and our families weren't able to be there, I think obviously it was different than Pyeongchang, but they made it very special as much as they could for given all the circumstances that were going on in the world. So to be able to compete during a pandemic is pretty amazing, but also to be able to bring home a gold during that as well is truly something I'm honored to be a part of and never going to forget. That's for sure.
Yeah, and on that note, like, of course, the first Olympics had fans, the second one didn't really have fans. But what was it like walking into that opening ceremonies? And the first one, I guess, with the fans just packed in the rafters.
Yeah, I think honestly, everybody talks about the opening ceremonies as being that kind of moment that you realize you're finally an Olympian, and I think it's so true. It's you're walking out and you hear your country being called versus just your team, or you're walking out there side by side with some of the best athletes in all their different sports, respectively, and it's just an amazing feeling. It's all a blur, especially the first one. I remember, I think it's like a 6-7 hour process, the entire opening ceremonies, and it honestly felt like maybe 20 minutes. And the walkout when you're like waving to all the people, it's actually not that short, but it feels like it goes by in about 22 seconds. Like it's instant. It's crazy. And obviously with the fans last time, but to be honest, with how much is going on and how in awe you are, you don't even hear or notice the fans. I didn't both times. This time we had no fans, and the time before it was jam packed, but you're just so like in the moment and like in awe and shock. And there's so much happening around you that, to be honest, it didn't even change the experience or the feeling. This time, obviously, especially with Pooh, our captain, carrying the flag in front of us. I mean, that's something that none of us will ever forget. It's amazing. Like, it's such an inspiration to not only Canada but our team, and to have our captain carry that flag was another really special moment for us as a team. And it was different because we played the next day, so we didn't actually stay and watch the entire opening ceremonies this time. So they were definitely different experiences. But like you said, I think that moment when you're walking in, it's like, whoa, holy! I actually made it. I'm actually here.
Yeah.
And like you said, how that team was special. This last one, I got to agree with you. Like, I've been watching women's Olympic hockey since I was a kid, right? And like this team, you guys just gelled like perfectly. And like, obviously there was the years with Haley Wickenheiser and those girls as well. But yeah, this team was different. You guys were like on another level.
Yeah, I agree. I'm the same with you. I've been watching for years, and now being a part of it, it's hard for me to say because now I'm on it. So it's really hard to compare to the past. And there are some incredible players, incredible teams in the past. But as of recent, especially since I've been a part of the program, the way the team came together, the confidence we had, the trust in one another, I've never felt that before. And we've played the U.S. tons and tons of times, but this tournament, this moment was one that there was no doubt in all of our minds that we were coming home with that gold medal, which is a pretty special feeling. I think obviously it's a big tournament. Anything can happen. Canada and U.S. are so close, but there was just something different on our team. There was a feeling inside that locker room. We had been through so much together with everything that went on that the entire year, but honestly, even more so the 4 years, that there was just this feeling that there's no way we were going home with the silver this time.
Have you actually got to ever share the ice with the GOAT, Haley Wickenheiser? Obviously, Poulan is going to be the next GOAT, but what about Wickenheiser right now? Have you ever got to share the ice with her?
Yeah, so I've never actually played on the national team with her, but I've been to numerous camps, especially throughout my college career when I kept not making the team. She was always on the ice and was always on the team. So whenever we went to training camps in Calgary and played red versus white or whatever the colors were, we were either on a team or against each other. So I did have the opportunity to play and train with her quite a few times.
Awesome.
If you were having a dream dinner party and you could sit down with 3 famous people, dead or alive, who would you want to bring?
Oh boy, that's a tough one.
For example, I'll give you an example though.
Okay.
For me, it's like Tupac. Seth Rogen would be my comedian.
That's funny.
And then Paulina Gretzky.
Okay. Yeah. I would choose Serena Williams. Okay. I think it would be pretty cool to have a conversation with her about her success. I would choose Serena, Ryan Reynolds,
Sweet.
And well, I love Sidney Crosby. I might put him in there, but I feel like I've gotten a chance to meet him a couple times. But he's definitely somebody I would like to have dinner with, or LeBron James.
Yeah. Sweet.
Is that okay? Dinner party?
Yeah, that's
absolutely. That's a pretty good one.
And definitely with Ryan Reynolds being from Vancouver too. He's on.
Yeah, exactly.
He's on our list.
I feel like he's just always involved with Canadians and.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he would be awesome and a fun guy. So
yeah, definitely.
Now, do you have any pregame rituals or routines? Is there anything that you have to do on game day?
I wouldn't say I have any rituals. I feel like we've really tried to move away as much as we can from the ritual idea, especially in women's hockey outside of the national team. I would say with everything that's been going on and like the chaos of not having a league and playing sporadically. I think it's really tough to have rituals just because so much changes. You can show up to the rink 45 minutes before your game. Sometimes the bus is delayed. You have to get right to the on ice. There's been numerous situations where nothing kind of goes perfectly as planned. So I think that's we've really gotten away or tried to at least get away from the ritual idea. Obviously, I have some pretty similar routines. Like I like to have a nap on the day of a game if the timing works out. I like to pregame skate generally. I eat similar things. I don't eat very much. I like to have a little smoothie and PB and toast before a game. But when I get to the rink, I always take my stick before a game. We did a little dance in Beijing as a team, which was super fun. But in general, I just like to have a good time. Pretty much stay loose, sing, dance, play shouldies. I'm not a very routine or I would say ritual type of person, but I definitely keep it similar from game to game as much as I can.
Okay. If you were an animal, what would you be?
If I was an animal, a lot of people tell me that I could be a golden retriever. I don't know if that's just because I have one or not, but that's something I get a lot. I would prefer to be like a cheetah or like a lion, like a more powerful animal. But honestly, I love golden retrievers, so I guess I could take that.
See, I always go with a dolphin because I look like a dolphin because I got no hair and a nose.
I love that answer. Okay.
Yeah. You have a favorite sports movie?
Pardon?
You have a favorite sports movie?
Ooh, favorite sports movie. I mean, it's pretty hard not to like Miracle. That's a classic hockey movie.
It's the Americans.
Yeah, I mean, I wish the teams were different, but the movie's pretty amazing. I also really like the Rocky movies. Nice. Those are pretty good. Honestly, I like every sport movie, to be honest. But I would say Miracle gets me a little bit differently, just because I feel I don't know, I can connect with some of the emotions for sure.
Yeah, and can you give us a little bit about your LS7 charity? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, I'm going to do it again this summer. So if you guys are out in Toronto area, I think it might be, I haven't fully announced it or decided, but I think it'll be sometime in July, maybe July 9th is what I'm looking at. But when I got back from Pyeongchang, it kind of started out of the blue. I was talking to my sister and her fiance just about starting a camp, because a lot of the girls kind of start some camps when they come back, and it's just an awesome way to give back and to enjoy the Olympic dream and share it with some other people. So I was like, okay, like maybe I could put a camp, but at the time there was so many different camps in my area too, and a bunch of the girls were putting theirs on and were way more organized than I was. So I was like, okay, like maybe I should hold off on the camp thing and not do one this year and then figure it out. And my sister's fiance, it was both of our birthdays. We actually have our birthday on the same day, and we went outside in May, and we just started playing, like shooting the puck around on our street. And so many different people from our neighborhood just started coming out and saying like, hey, can I jump in? Can I play? And I was like, this hasn't happened in forever. Like I can't remember the last time I've been driving in a neighborhood and seen like people moving nets for cars and playing road hockey. Like I feel like that's how I grew up. But we would all just stay out until dinner time playing road hockey. And honestly, this little shoot around that we had turned into this full on road hockey game on my street, and it was so much fun. And we were like, this is what we need to do. Like we need to do like a little charity road hockey tournament. And so this was May, and we planned it for end of June. So we had about like 5-6 weeks to put this charity road hockey tournament together. And we were kind of brainstorming ways to do it, what to give the money to, what to create the foundation for. And that was it. It ended up being to make that happen more, to get kids out playing road hockey, playing on the streets, playing hockey, whatever it is, just trying to live healthy lifestyles, get outside, play, put the screens and the computers and the phones down for a little and literally just go outside with your friends, enjoy the community, but get active and have fun. And so that's what the money goes to. Generally, obviously it changes given on the year. At one point we gave some money for COVID relief, and but in general, the background of it is not only to just raise money for later, but also to get everybody outside the day of, spend the entire day outside playing road hockey. And then after that, all the proceeds go to either getting kids active down the line, whether I went to an elementary school once, and we did a half a day of playing outside, and the money went to all new sportswear for the school. So that's kind of a typical what the money does. So the tournament's awesome. It's about 16 teams roughly of 8 or 9 players, and there's a pro or a national team member or at least 1 or 2 per team. And the kids honestly, parents are out there. Whoever signs up gets to play kind of thing, as long as you're over a certain age. And we just have a full day of a big road hockey tournament right outside my parents' house. And it's a blast. We have some fun, we have some food, and get active.
That's awesome.
One thing you were saying there, kids don't play enough street hockey nowadays.
I know.
We used to have like full on 10-on-10 games in the cul-de-sac.
I know, and it just, I don't know. I feel like kids are so like, I have to go to the rink and practice and do skill sessions all the time, and it's not necessarily true. I think running around, getting active, playing other sports, just having fun with your friends also helps you become a great athlete and a great person. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that, and we just do skill session over skill session. And yes, we become some of the most skilled players, but we lose out on a lot of other attributes that make great athletes and great people. And that's like the team building, the fun, the athleticism side of things, and not just necessarily being that one sport athlete. And that's what I'm definitely trying to promote. And also just the idea of, you're right, just getting out there and having fun. We don't need to play Xbox and play NHL that way. We can get out and actually use our sticks, and the teams are actually made, like we all throw our sticks in, and the teams are actually made that day. So you could be playing with absolutely anybody, which kind of makes it a little fun too.
So
that's awesome. Yeah, I miss those days.
Yeah.
Right.
If there's $1,000 prize in the line and you had to sing any karaoke song, what song would you choose?
You do not want me to sing it, but
don't worry, I suck too.
I have 2 karaoke songs because we actually go to karaoke a lot. I feel like our team loves singing and loves karaoke. And I actually do like to get up there and sing, even though I'm terrible. So I sing either Jesse's Girl or Love Story by Taylor Swift. Those are my 2.
Sweet. Okay. Sweet. That's awesome.
It's just easy to kind of sing along to. You don't have to have a great voice. You just need to know the rhythm a little.
I'm going to hit you.
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say the easiest one to do during your karaoke is the tequila song, because it's only got 1 word.
Tequila?
Yeah.
I'll have to try that one next for sure.
I'm going to hit you with a trivia question. How many beers fit in the Stanley Cup? 12 cans, 14 cans, or 18 cans?
14.
You got her. You got her.
Nice. I've actually never drank out of the Stanley Cup, but that would be pretty cool.
Okay. Mike?
And yeah, I was just going to say, if you could play any other sport professionally other than hockey, what would it be? If you were good at it.
That's tough. When we're at the Olympics, we talk about that a lot. Like, what other Olympic sport would you want to do? And I generally say like some sort of downhill skiing or probably alpine skiing or whatever. But I think if it was a professional sport, I would probably choose tennis. I just think it's a really like I don't know, very athletic, awesome sport to watch. I don't know. I really enjoy playing tennis, and I think it would be a pretty cool sport to play professionally for sure. Maybe even doubles. That would be cool too.
Yeah, then you don't have to run as far.
Yeah. Get a little break here and there.
Yeah,
that's right.
Stand at the net.
Hey, Laura, I just want to thank you so much for taking the time for us today and coming on and chat with us. Obviously, we're big fans of you, and we're big fans of Olympic hockey and women's hockey, and it truly meant a lot to us. So thank you so much again.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I'm glad I could make this work. That was great.